We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, also known as Sheree Talaya, but I'm going to have to ask you out in the audience, if there's anyone there, if you can hear me. I started this show earlier and there was an audio issue, so I want to be sure that I am being heard at this time. So if there's anyone listening at all, please let me know that you can hear me. And maybe I will just let a few minutes go by and see if anyone shows up and can answer what I'm asking for. I don't want to start the show and have you not hear the beginning because it's not going to make nearly as much sense. Is there anyone there? Is the show live? I guess. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now, thank you, Julia. I feel like I can get started. So, at least I can be heard, and that's always a good thing. So tonight, the name of this show is called Caged Conscience, the Incarceration Industrial Complex, Follow the Money. And it is a very surprising topic. I just did a recent show on this, and the day after I did the show, they came up with new figures, which I found extremely interesting because we went from 182 billion to 445 billion. That's quite a big difference. So tonight we're going to slow down and do something very simple. We're not debating politics. We're not arguing sides. We're not looking at structure. We're not talking about defending crime. It's not about attacking victims. And it's not about saying people shouldn't be held accountable for harm. Tonight is understanding a system, because a society can only fix what it is willing to see. Most people will never walk inside a jail. Most people will never see a courtroom from the defendant's side of the room. Most people will never receive a collect call that costs more than a family meal. But millions of families live with it every day. And when something affects that many people, it stops being an individual story and becomes a public reality. So tonight, instead of opinions, we're going to look at structure. And this episode walks step by step through where money connected to incarceration actually goes in the United States. The information comes from research compiled by the Prison Policy Initiative. This isn't just some, opinion or idea or what have you. This is from sound research. And the goal isn't to tell you what to think. The goal is to understand how the systems function first. And then each one can decide what it means. So tonight, again, instead of opinions, we're going to look at structure. Now, this infographic is a little hard to read, so I'm going to enlarge different sections of it as we look through it. But most people, when they think of or picture prison, they imagine like one thing: punishment for crime. A person commits an offense, goes to court, and is sent to a facility where they serve time. That image is simple. But researchers discovered something important. Prison itself is only one small part of a much larger structure. And again, according to research compiled by the Prison Policy Initiative, the United States spends hundreds of billions of dollars each year connected to incarceration. Not just prisons, the entire surrounding system. This is not a single agency, it is an ecosystem. Money flows into many different areas. There's policing, there's courts, there's probation and parole systems, there's jail operations, there's prison construction, transportation, and administrative supervision. This means incarceration begins financially long before someone ever reaches a prison cell. So when you keep looking at that $445 billion figure, how large is the entire system built around incarceration? A very large segment of the figure of $45 billion comes from $203.2 billion for policing. And this does not include immigration policing either. So incarceration in America is not a single institution. It is an economy. So policing alone accounting for $203 billion annually. Corrections, prisons, jails, probation, and parole, about $115.8 billion. Judicial and legal criminal court costs, about $43.8 billion. Immigration policing and detention, about $54.3 billion. And then there is a part of the system the public rarely sees. Let's move on to the next. The other aspect of this is the judicial and legal, which includes criminal law only, is $43.8 billion. Prosecution, $8.5 billion. Indigent defense, $7.9 billion. That's for the size of the operation or the organization or whatever you want to call it. The indigent defense is minuscule, as is the food budget, and we'll touch on that later. But the figures speak for themselves. you'll quickly see. Corrections, public agencies. These figures represent the actual prisons, the buildings, the jails, the probation and parole systems. And this is a usual view of the public. This is usually about the only thing the public actually sees. Now, let's talk about direct costs paid by families. Families experience this personally. Phone calls from prison often cost far more, are far above normal market rates. This is a fact. Basic commissary goods, and very basic. Soap, food, clothing are frequently sold at much higher prices than retail. Money transfers, travel, deposits of any kind, communication costs, all fall on the families. And every single transaction has a sizable fee attached to it. So punishment doesn't end at sentencing, it spreads outward. The research describes incarceration not simply as a criminal justice process, but as a network of financial incentives shared across public and private actors. Now, I want you to think about that and remember the incentives that they had for COVID. Incentives and public trust are something to think about. If success is measured by rehabilitation, a system will build rehabilitation. If success is measured by supervision, contracts, and occupancy of beds, the system quietly rewards expansion. This is not a conspiracy claim. It's a structural observation. Oh, this section here, I wanted to cover this as well. Direct costs paid by the individuals and families, even though I said it, it's a total of 27.7 billion every year. Families do experience these personally. Phone calls are very pricey. Money transfers, all those transactions, all of them, every single one will have a fee attached to it. And it all falls on the families. And again, because systems behave according to incentives, if success is measured by rehabilitation, a system will build rehabilitation. I know I'm repeating this, but I think it bears repeating. If success is measured by supervision, contracts, and occupancy, the system quietly rewards expansion. Again, this is not a conspiracy claim. It is a structural observation. So, that being said, this is where we pause. Because once you understand a $445 billion structure, you understand why reform is difficult. You're not adjusting one law. You're not changing one policy. You are attempting to redirect an entire economic framework, and that raises a serious question for a free society. Are we operating a justice system, or are we maintaining an industry? A justice system corrects behavior and restores people wherever possible. An industry depends on continuation. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm asking you to think. Because compassion does not weaken a society. Understanding does not excuse harm. And truth does not fear examination. We can care about victims and still ask whether systems are working the way we believe they are. We can want safety and still ask whether our methods actually produce it. And sometimes the most important step toward justice is simply being willing to look. Good night, everyone. Thank you for listening, and I hope I gave you something to think about.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our